when you don't have a college degree, but you want to prove your worth, there are ways to do that.
Right.
And you just have to search out those governing bodies and take advantage of them. I think that you can take your job wherever you want it to go, but if it's not taking you there fast enough, then you need to do what you need to do to get ahead. Whatever you think that might be. First of all, some evil person in black sets the quotas.
Yeah. I used to be that guy.
So you know him. Yeah. Quotas change year after year, based on prior year performance. Mm-hmm. And I've been in sales, worked in the clinical portion of Alcon. This is my 5th year in sales. Prior to taking on this sales role, I didn't have any idea the stresses of it.
Yeah. Welcome to HTB, or How to Become, the podcast where careers start with a conversation. Each episode, we sit down with someone actually doing the job you're curious about, from trades to tech, healthcare to hands-on skilled work. You'll hear how they got started, what the day-to-day really looks like, what they earn, and what they wish they'd known before they began. Whether you're a student, a parent, or someone thinking about a career change, these real stories are here to help you figure out your next step. Let's jump into today's conversation and learn how to become, well, anything. This episode is brought to you by Libre Coffee, roasted right here in Oceanside, California, and delivered straight to your door. If you're still grabbing whatever bag is on sale at the grocery store, it's time to upgrade your morning. Libre specializes in organic, whole bean coffees from places like Colombia, Guatemala, Ethiopia, Mexico, and more, all roasted in small batches so you actually taste where the coffee came from instead of just generic dark roast. They've got single origin bags like Colombia organic, Guatemala organic, Ethiopia organic, plus blends like the Dope Blend and Good Day Sunshine if you want something smooth and balanced for everyday drinking. And if you love coffee but not the jitters, they even have a Swiss water decaf option so you can sip all day or at night and still sleep. You can grab a one-time bag to try it out or set up a subscription every week, every other week, or even every month so you never wake up to an empty coffee jar again. Check them out at librecoffee.com. That's LIBRA coffee.com and level up your morning cup. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Bernard Peters. Today, we're sitting down with Trevi Davis to look at the world of surgical sales, the medical device reps who live in operating rooms and surgical centers, supporting surgeons, nurses, and techs while selling the implants, instruments, and systems that make procedures possible. In the U.S., medical device and surgical sales reps typically earn strong 6-figure incomes when you include commission, with median total compensation landing around the $150,000 to $200,000 range, and top performers in surgical specialties pushing well into the $300,000 plus range. Most start with a bachelor's degree in business or a science field, a few years in entry-level sales or pharma, and then work their way into device and surgical roles, often taking 5 to 10 years from college to a high-earning OR-based territory. There's no formal license, but companies expect deep product knowledge, comfort in the operating room, and the ability to be on call early, late, and in between cases while managing a quota and a territory. Whether it's cataract surgery, ortho, spine, or cardiac, this episode will walk you through what it actually takes to break into surgical sales and build a career in the operating room from the business side. Trevi, I appreciate you joining me today, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think to start, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
My official title is Cataract Refractive Manager. And what does that mean? So I do doctor relationships with my company. I convince them that my lenses are the best, that our equipment's the best, and that they should partner with our company to use our disposables, to use our equipment, and to input our lenses when they do cataract surgery.
Okay.
My territory is very dense, but not very large geographically. So there's 100 of us that work for my company nationwide. So 100 people that have my position. We're a global company. But in just the US, there's 100 of me.
Yeah.
Some of those territories are across several states. My territory goes from the border to Laguna Hills and then out to the 15 corridor. So I've got this little wedge of Southern California.
That's amazing. That's not very big at all.
It's not. So if there's no traffic, I can get to and from the from end to end in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Having said that, when I get up to Orange County, I'll have 6 accounts to see within one exit of the freeway. So that can be very convenient, but it also can be a lot too.
Yep.
So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do. I go to the clinics, I go to the operating room, I teach surgeons how to use equipment, I teach surgeons what the lens technology offers their patients.
Mm-hmm.
I teach their staff how to take measurements of the eye. I'm an expert in biometry. So what do the measurements mean to the surgeon, and how do they use those measurements to measure the eye to get the correct implants so they get the patients the best outcomes afterwards. So that's a cataract refractive manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It blows me away that, medical device sales reps are in the OR, actually in the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? How do you teach them without getting in the way of the surgery itself?
Well, medical device sales reps are ubiquitous. I mean, there is not a device out there that isn't supported by somebody in the field.
That's wild.
And so, and every device has its nuance. There's a relationship that you have to build between the surgeon and your company.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a highly competitive field. So there's several different types of femtosecond lasers. There's several different kinds of multifocal lenses, and the surgeon has to be confident in those. But that also means the surgeon has to learn the nuances of that product. And the salesperson is usually the person that teaches the surgeon how to use that equipment, how to implant the lens properly, those sorts of things. So we train surgeons on the not in the art of medicine or the art of surgery.
Yeah.
But we help them improve their skills.
Yep.
And that's true across orthopedics, gastrointestinal surgery, cardiovascular. So there's somebody like me for every part of the body out there.
That is amazing. So how did you get into this in the first place?
Well, so there's a couple of different ways to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
There, in my experience, and again, I can't speak for everybody's experience, but in my experience, there's 2 types of people that have positions like mine. Mm-hmm. And the first type is the person with their bachelor in science or their bachelor's degree in whatever, basket weaving or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That interned somewhere, that got some sort of outside sales experience in something. They might have sold widgets for some company and they got their foot in the door that way, and they've kind of built themselves into a position where they could get a surgical sales job. And when I talk about a hierarchy of sales representatives for medical devices, there is a bit of a hierarchy in that. And again, I'm not disparaging anything, but there's sales reps that sell drops, mm-hmm. That are not medicinal. They're artificial tears. There's sales reps that sell contact lenses, and there's sales rep that sells lenses for glasses. There's pharmaceutical drops salespeople, and so there's this hierarchy of reps, and at the top of that hierarchy is the surgical rep.
Right.
And so how do you get from here to here? There's 2 ways. Is that one of those ways was that bachelor degree, mm-hmm. and that's what's required is a bachelor's degree, and some sort of outside sales experience, or you knew somebody or you got into the position somehow.
Yeah.
And then there's people like me that worked in the field for many, many years, and were dogged enough to get the certifications and to stay on top of the latest technologies and to be smart enough to take the position when it was open. Now, mm-hmm. a lot of companies like mine have a requirement that says, in order to apply for this position, you need a bachelor's degree.
Yep.
Or you need 5 or 10 years of like experience in the field. And that's how I got into it. When I got recruited by Alcon, I had an associate's degree. I was working on my bachelor's degree at the time, but I didn't have one, but I did have at that point in time, 20 years experience in ophthalmology.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this now?
I've been in. I'm a Navy trained ophthalmic tech. So when I was when I was in the service, way back in the 90s.
Yeah. I won't ask for dates. It's okay.
That's fine. I won't give them to you. I got my foot in the door in ophthalmology in the Navy, and I got out, and I've just been doing it ever since.
Okay, let's start there. Where'd you grow up?
Colorado.
Okay, and like around Denver or
no?
Out in the sticks, huh?
On the sticks.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Joined the Navy, and I don't understand how all that works, because I not everybody knows that, when you join the military, not everybody's a rifleman, right? There's a whole bunch of support staff out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get into this?
Well, when I joined the Navy, I wanted to specifically get into the medical field, and I did. I was a hospital corpsman with the Navy. I spent most of my time at 1st Marine Division in Camp Pendleton as a corpsman with the Marine Corps. When I rotated back to shore duty, I ended up at the hospital in San Diego, and they said, "Petty Officer Davis, do you know anything about eyes?" And I was like, "No." And they said, "Well, you're going to learn." And I got thrown into that field. And when I got out of the service a couple of years later, I just continued doing that because it was an easy transition.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't realize what a nice area of medicine it's to be in ophthalmology, because typically you work Monday through Friday. There's not a lot of call.
Yeah.
There's not weekend work per se.
Yeah.
So it's a nice area of medicine to be in with a lot of job opportunities.
So why did you choose the route through the Navy instead of going to, the standard route of getting a bachelor's, getting your medical degree?
I grew up in one of those households that we didn't have a lot of money. There wasn't a lot of opportunity. I dropped out of high school. I dropped out of high school after one day of my junior year. So, I got my GED shortly after that. And so, I needed to get out of the rut that I was in, because I wasn't doing anything good with myself at that point in time.
Yeah.
So the Navy, was, as it was for a lot of my family, the military was like a way out of Colorado, a way to get a leg up in the world. And it served me well.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so how long did you serve in the Navy? 8 years. Okay. Yeah. That's a good amount of time.
Yeah. From 91 to 99.
Okay. And then shore duty, you got into ophthalmology.
Yeah.
And what did that job entail?
In the Navy specifically?
Yeah.
I worked in the optometry clinic, actually, of the Naval Hospital down in San Diego, Balboa, and I was their supply petty officer. I ordered contact lenses for Navy pilots and special operators. So for all the SEALs, and for the combat pilots.
Pilots are allowed to wear contact lenses? No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a misnomer that they're not. A lot of them ended up. This is way back in the day before. Yeah. Really LASIK just started coming out.
Yeah.
So after that, a lot of those people, the Navy was doing LASIK hand over fist for many years. They were just zapping everybody, but this is prior to that happening. Yeah.
Okay. And so what did you transition to after doing supply?
Well, I got out after that time frame. I was there for a year and a half. When I got out of the service because I had a really nice apartment, 1 block from the beach in Ocean Beach. And at the time I was looking at going back to the Marine Corps, heading back up to Camp Pendleton, living in the barracks.
Yeah.
And it just didn't appeal to me. In retrospect, I should have stuck it out, but you're in your 20s. Why should I have stuck it out?
Yeah.
I think I had more to offer, and 2 years later, shit hit the fan.
Gotcha.
And I missed out on the opportunity to help.
And there's a great surf spot in Pendleton.
There is. DMJ, I go there as much as I can. Yes, there is. Yeah.
Man, so you got out just before all that happened. So what was your first job out of the Navy?
I came out and worked for an optometrist for 6 months or so, and then I got a job with a private practice ophthalmologist in La Jolla. What
was your job there at the ophthalmologist?
I was teching. Okay. So just measuring the eyes, doing refractions, doing, all of the grunt work.
Yep.
Yeah. I worked for that surgeon for a while. I didn't bounce around a lot. I think I worked for him, and then I got on with another practice, and I ended up being with that practice for 10 years. And that's where I kind of grew professionally and learned, he trusted me enough to start calculating his surgeries and doing all of the prep work. And so he could concentrate on other things. And so that's when I learned the skills that kind of carried me over through my career.
What kind of characteristic traits do you think make for a good tech in that position?
I think that above and beyond anything, you have to be a good communicator. I see, because I do this for a living, I go into a clinic and I'll sit in the corner, and we call them patient journeys. So I'll sit in the corner, and practice will have problems with their conversion rate. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about conversion rates in a minute. But I'll be asked to come in and do an assessment of their practice and what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And so I see, especially with the younger generation, they don't communicate, and they don't say, my name is Trevi. I'm going to sit you down in front of this machine. I'm going to measure the length of your eye. I'm going to measure the curvature of your cornea. Yeah. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And with that information, we're going to do A, B, and C. Yeah. And that's just not explained to the patients. And then that creates anxiety, and that patient will carry that through for the rest of their visit. So I think that you have to be a good communicator, just like everything in life. But even more so when you're doing medical procedures, because patients come in and they have anxiety they brought with them. They're going to be usually being worked up for some sort of surgery or some sort of disease process in their eye. And if you're not explaining things to them on a level they can understand, then that amps up the stress in the visit and makes things harder later on.
Yeah, and I can imagine it's easy to slip into that as the expert, because you do this, a few times a day in, day out, year after year. And so it's just routine for you, but you don't always understand. This is the first time it's ever happening to this patient. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's really great advice.
Yeah.
So you spent 10 years doing that.
Just with that surgeon. Right. And at one point, I think what happened, I know what happened. We moved, in the housing, when the housing bubble was on, everybody was so freaked out they had to buy a house right then and there. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we moved to Phoenix to buy our home.
Okay.
And when I got on with the practice out there, I ended up scrubbing cataract cases in the OR 2 days a week, and then work in the clinic 3 days a week. And so I got to expand my professional skills by doing that. And that kind of got me a broader information base that I could carry forward. And that really is what served me probably the most. And all of this is done without a degree.
Right.
So at this point in time, I've not gone to college. I've not even registered. It was never on my radar. And that's what one of the regrets I had after I got out of the service was that I didn't take advantage of my GI Bill and go right into school.
Yep.
And I strongly suggest everybody do that. Yep. But what I did do was get certified. There's all kinds of national certifications that you can get. And really, a lot of medical fields have, if you want to scrub cataracts, or if you want to scrub gastrointestinal, or if you want to do, OR stuff, there's certifications, boards that you can challenge to get those certifications done. And I did all of those.
Okay. So there are a list of certifications. Is it like book time where you got to study, or
it is
experience? Is it both?
It's both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's both. So there was a lot of studying involved, nuances that you had to know that you normally don't run across in your daily, in your daily job.
Yeah.
But were important to know historically and theoretically. So I did all of those. I went to the highest level in those certifications. So when you don't have a college degree, but you want to prove your worth, there are ways to do that.
Right.
And you just have to search out those governing bodies and take advantage of them.
Did your employer provide any incentives or time off or financial assistance?
Yes, and yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got...
Usually if you ask your employer, it behooves them to have a certified employee.
Sure. Yeah.
So you say, Doc, I know this board I want to challenge. It costs $300. I need to take this time off to go take the test. My books are going to cost X, Y, and Z. Now, normally, in most practices, they will pay for them after the fact.
Yep.
So it says, okay, once you've passed, once you've completed the courses, give us a receipt and we'll pay for them.
I like that.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, it probably gets you $1 raise or $2 raise. And if anything else, it allows you something else to put on your resume when you get that next job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how did the pay work when you were a tech? Was it wage or a salary? Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't. As I said, I was I was certified ophthalmic technician through the ophthalmology governing board that's nationwide. But even at those rates, I had a child and I was married and we were buying a house and all of those sorts of things. And
you're just loading paychecks.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Luckily my wife was an ardent budgeter. So she kept us on lockdown. But, even if you do as much as you can, sometimes it's just not enough. And so I went back to school in my 40s and, because I just wasn't satisfied, so I think that you can take your job wherever you want it to go. But if it's not taking you there fast enough, then you need to do what you need to do to get ahead, whatever you think that might be.
Right.
And at the time, I saw something that I wanted and I thought the only way to get there was to have the degree that was required. And so I went to school at night for many years and got it done, and it's hard.
Yeah.
All the time making no money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that North Star that was guiding you, was that the medical sales rep?
It was a corporate job.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
So it was working for one of the companies doing one of the things. So was that surgical? Mm-hmm. Was it clinical? Was it contact lens sales? Whatever it was, it was something better than what I was doing. That was had many more incentives than working. And to answer your question, it was an hourly job. It was never salary.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's the fault of the surgeon or the private equity group or whoever it is that you work for. The prevailing wage just isn't probably enough in today's day and age in California.
Right. Yeah. Especially if you live down here. That's a really good point. So how did you land the job at Alcon?
I was scrubbing cases. I was in the OR for a very colorful surgeon.
Yep.
He was a character, and he bought a femtosecond laser that Alcon produced. Mm-hmm. They came in to install it, and the trainer, Alcon provides a trainer, a clinical trainer, and a sales force. We have a huge force of personnel that comes in and supports all of our equipment.
Yeah.
So when you buy a big box like that, it comes with training days, and that clinical person comes in and spends all of the time with the surgeon and the staff and shows them how to use it and all of those sorts of things. And so when that person came in, they trained me to use that femtosecond laser and ended up recruiting me to work with Alcon.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I had to, and Alcon made me ask permission from the surgeon that I was working for in order to apply for the position. He gave that to me. And so I started with Alcon 9 years ago. I'm in my 10th year with Alcon now.
How long was that transition? Like, I'd imagine there's an education process, right? Before you can just go in the field by yourself.
I don't want to sound pompous.
Yep.
I don't, but there wasn't much that they could teach me that I didn't already know.
Yep.
Now, that isn't always the case.
Right.
But I had been, at that time, I'd been in ophthalmology for 20 years. I knew all of those things like the back of my hand. Now, of course, there was equipment that I had to become familiar with, but I was already using that equipment in the operating room.
Right.
So I just, I didn't have much of a transition. I was out in the field within a month.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How does it work in your field specifically as far as, who sets the quotas? How difficult is it to achieve? Does it change year in, year out?
Well, first of all, some evil person in black sets the quotas.
Yeah. I used to be that guy.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So you know him. Yeah. The quotas change. You know that year after year, based on prior year performance. And I've been in sales. I worked in the clinical portion of Alcon for 4 years. This is my 5th year in sales. Prior to taking on this sales role, I didn't have any idea the stresses of it. Yeah. But they're palpable. I mean, they're absolutely real.
Yeah, you're only as good as your last quarter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as I've come to learn, I can't take things personally. I can't equate my self-worth with my numbers. Yeah. But those numbers change, based on performance of last year. This year we're having a good year because last year was absolutely dismal.
Yeah.
And so and this is really true for, I think, any medical device, is that so much competition that you can lose points, you can lose share in a month that will affect you for the rest of the year.
Right.
So it's been a ride.
Yeah. How do you manage that stress? I mean, you already said you don't take a person.
I did not say that.
Okay. You don't manage it.
I've only recently, I have a wonderful partner that's been doing sales, not specifically ophthalmic sales, but in sales since he got out of college. And so he's really good at what he does. And one of the things he told me was that you can't win every time. Yeah. You have to get used to it and not take it personally. And, my emotional counselor, my ChatGPT, is the one that told me to not equate my self-worth with my numbers.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
It is. It is. It really is. So I deal with it with a lot of physical activity. I think that I manage it pretty well. I don't stay up and stress out about it most nights. Yeah. I think that there are times when I say I'm trying to figure out this one surgeon, this one problem. How can I tackle this? But it's a wonderful life, first of all. Yeah. It's an amazing, amazing life. I run my own schedule, and that can be looked at as good or bad. Yep. If I don't work, I don't eat. So, I'm very motivated to work. I'm very motivated to be out there and making those numbers because it equates directly into my pay. But you've got some history with this. And so, that the other side of it is that, I don't really feel like doing that today. So I'm going to put it off until tomorrow, and I can do that. I can't do it all the time. If the waves are up, or if I want to go train this morning, I'm going to go do that from time to time. And, as long as I'm not missing anything critical, then I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about those hours. Cause I'd imagine surgery can start pretty early in the morning.
It can.
And it can go pretty late at night.
Yeah. Yes and no.
Okay. So how do you, when you're, if you have an early surgery, how do you recapture the rest of the day, right? Where you're not dog tired, you still have things to do.
I hope that nobody that I work for is listening to this, but
nobody listens to this podcast.
Okay. So I think that frequently, I am amazed that we have a good life. Let me just say that we have a good life. If I'm starting surgery at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we frequently do, usually, we're done with that surgery by noon, 1, 2. I'll have a couple of stops that I need to make. I've got a in my head, I don't have a spreadsheet that I work off of, but I want to touch a certain amount of surgeons a week. Yep. I need to make sure that I do that every day. Yeah. Because I don't want to fall behind and have to do 50 on Friday. So, if I get out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I have 4 surgeons that I want to go see that afternoon, then I'm done at 4. And, was that a long day? I don't know. I've still got time to surf or go work out or whatever I need to do. And then there are those times too that you get so trapped into being out in the field with your surgeons that you forget all about all of the admin stuff that you have to do. And then you're weeks behind on it. You've got, all of your analytics to do. And
you update your CRM. You got
yes.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck at your desk for 2 days.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
It is. And so I don't have a desk. So my workstation is my couch on my coffee table. And so I'm hunched over like this for 48 hours, but it's a good life.
Wait, so a surgery that lasts 4 to 5 hours?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it doesn't. So, for instance, a surgeon I was with this morning had 12 cases to do today. I was there for 6 of them. Yep. So I got there at 7:30 and I was out of there at 10:30. So it's about a half hour per surgery. Some surgeons can do them in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It depends on if they're working out of 2 rooms. So cataract surgery is a really quick, usually easy thing.
Yeah.
It's very routine. It's the most commonly performed surgery in all of medicine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we're going to do 5 million cataracts this year in the United States. Yeah. So, it goes pretty fast.
How do you get over the anxiety of doing a cold call in a new surgeon's office?
I don't know if you do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, let me say this. That's not what makes me nervous.
Yep.
The cold calling.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if I'm doing a true cold call, I don't go in with a lot of expectations. I don't think that I'm going to go in and see Surgeon Smith and that he's going to buy $100,000 worth of my stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
I'm happy if I get 2 minutes with him.
Yep.
My name's Trevi. I'm with Alcon. Here's what I can do for you. Can I set up a lunch? Can I come back in and talk to you and your staff?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's my cold call. I do a lot of lunches.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a breakfast I'm doing tomorrow, a lunch on Friday. We've got dinner tonight.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of in surgical sales. We do a lot of eating.
Yeah. 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 How much has that changed since like the early 2000s when
a lot.
It has. Okay. So so how does that translate for you? Is it just smaller budgets or how does all that work?
Well, so we are not capped. We're not capped.
Mm-hmm.
We're not capped with the amount of money that we can spend a month. Mm-hmm. In fact, I've had some months that my expense report was $15,000. I've had some that are 3. So there's a huge variance. What we are regulated by is the Sunshine Act, which says I can't buy a surgeon goods. I can't coerce the surgeon. I can't do things that are illegal.
Yeah.
And then my company sets down its guidelines that say if you're going to take a surgeon out, you can't spend more than $150 per head on dinner.
Gotcha.
So if you take them to you take them to nice restaurants as nice as you can. You have to tell them you get 2 drinks, anything other than that you have to pay for. So we aren't heavily regulated as far as food goes. But we cannot do pens. We can't do coffee cups. We can't do any of that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. In the sales field, you have to eat a lot.
You do. And if you're, sometimes that can be stressful because you're trying to count your calories and they're like, I don't want to, I don't want a bone marrow puree tonight, So,
man, that could go for one of those.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds amazing.
It does.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so do you manage staff at all?
I don't.
Okay. Is that the case for most medical sales reps?
The ones that are in the field, yes.
Yeah.
No, I've got we're all broken down into compartments. So I've got my territory and that's in a division, that's in a region, and we have 5 regions in the US. And so, it's got a definitely tiered system, a ranking system. So, in our division, there are 6 of us that are field reps. And so we are just responsible for ourselves. Mm-hmm. We share a territory with a partner.
Mm-hmm.
So he's responsible for some different things than I am, and I'm responsible for some different things than he is. We share a lot of products, so we're responsible for the same customers. I have to manage him sometimes. He has to manage me sometimes, but we're not responsible for each other.
Yeah,
which is great. You know,
I love that.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Having to manage people is an atrocious thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Are there territories in the States for your company where people have to fly a lot?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can count your blessings being in a relatively dense, small territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I as I mentioned at the very beginning, there are people in my position that have the better part of 3 states.
Yeah.
You know, and so
you see them at the airports all the time, man.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
It's like they practically live there.
They do.
How do they cope?
So when I was in the clinical portion of this, I trained. I was lucky enough to be a trainer on multiple technologies. So I would travel a lot.
Yeah.
And my last year in clinical, I was in a Marriott for 140 nights. So it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
It was really hard on my relationship.
Mm-hmm. And your health.
And your health. You eat like crap. Yeah. You know.
You probably don't sleep great either.
You don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't, because pillows at those places are terrible.
Right. AC's blasting on and off all night. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yes, I think there are people that are, and I think that it comes with the good and the bad. They have bigger territories, so they have potential to make more money.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot more, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those things aren't perfectly equitable across the country. But I will take my territory, 11 times out of 10 because I can be home every night.
Yeah.
You know,
how does your pay package work? Is it like 50-50 salary commission or?
I would say it's more 45 salary and 55 commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys get draws when on the quarters you don't hit your targets?
No.
Okay.
We don't.
Yeah, so it really is like you eat what you kill.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get paid $1.
Yep.
I get AVQ. My partner doesn't get AVQ. So his pay could be a little more consistent than mine can, but I think that when we're up in numbers,
it's better.
It's better.
You get accelerators and all that kind of stuff on top.
Yes.
Is it capped?
Not really.
Good. Yeah.
No, I mean, if you kill it, you can make a boatload of money.
Dude, all the years I set sales quotas, every company I was at, I always fought against caps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you cap a sales rep? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's counterproductive.
It totally is, right? So I'd imagine on these years when things are going really well, you try and squirrel a lot of money away.
No, I just went out and bought more crap.
Oh man,
AI's taking over anyway. The world's going to end in 10 years.
So easy.
Yeah.
Do you guys get any, because you work for a public company, you guys get any options or anything like that?
We don't. Not anymore. There was a time, I think it's been quite a while that they offered that, and that was great.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
Yeah.
But we have a very robust 401k and company car. And I mean, they take amazing care of us.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change my job really for much of anything in the world.
Yeah. That's amazing. I really love that. And, I think you've been able to, the fact that you've been able to land a job like that in a place where you've lived most of your life, where you enjoy like being in Southern California, having a gig like that with good work-life balance is great.
It's amazing. Yeah.
What advice would you have for 17-year-old Trevi?
Well, it's interesting that I've got an 18-year-old Trevi at home. I've got a 21-year-old nephew who I got a job at a practice of one of the customers of mine.
Amazing.
And I tell him, I don't tell him. I suggest to him frequently that he invest a little bit in himself. He says, I don't want to go to college right now. His partner is going to be graduating from college. And until that happens, he doesn't want to have to deal with it. And I don't know if he ever will.
Yeah.
But what I tell him is that you get certified, put the work in. your employer will pay for it. I know that. And have a thirst for knowledge in whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that we're in a very unique time right now in that, and maybe this has been true for a long time, that the college degree isn't the gateway to greatness.
It's not. Yeah,
it just
it's not
isn't.
a guarantee.
It's not.
Yeah.
It can get you a long ways, and maybe, after you toil somewhere for 10 years, that will give you the boost that you need, but
right.
It's not the end all be all right out of the gate like it used to be.
Yeah.
And so I think that whatever it is that the 17-year-old is doing, do it to the best of your ability, take advantage of all of the things that you can learn in that.
Yeah.
And for my son who's about to graduate, he's graduating with honors. He's taken AP courses. He's already signed up for college, all of those sorts of things. If I could steer him in a direction, I don't know. I don't know if that expensive college degree would be what I would say. And it's not just because I'm footing the bill.
Yeah.
He's going to be going to community college, and in California, it's free for the first 2 years, and it's amazing. And so we're taking advantage of that. But, I think that there are service jobs out there that are underserved.
Sure.
I heard a podcast with the Dirty Jobs guy.
Yeah. Mike Rowe. Love him. Yeah.
So he said that for every 5 service persons that are retiring in the United States, 2 are replacing them.
Only 2.
It's only 2.
Yeah, I would have guessed it was 1, but yeah,
it's 2.
It's still not good.
It's not. So we were talking about electricians, plumbers, AC, mechanics, all of those sorts of things. And I think that the demographics of a very expensive street are going to change significantly over in the next couple of years. That you're going to have a couple doctors, but you're going to have some plumbers in there too.
Oh, it already is, man.
Because when I get plumbing work done at my house, it's $200 an hour.
And they're booked 8 weeks out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that that the world has shifted, and then you worry about.
AI.
And I know it's kind of getting to be a beaten dead horse with the AI thing, but there's not for a very long time will AI take over a plumber's job. There's somebody who's going to have to come in and clean out your pipes or to fix whatever it is.
I totally agree.
So I think that things have changed, but do whatever it is you're doing, but do it well and take advantage of whatever programs that you got offered to you.
Yeah.
So
if somebody that is, just graduating high school or graduating college, or they're looking for a shift in careers and they want to do what you do, what do you suggest the first steps they take in this year to go in that direction?
My first thought was why anyone would want to do it. But I just said I love my job. So
no, man, that's always like every time. Like, what advice do you have for somebody that wants to do this? Everybody says my advice is don't do it. Go do something else.
Yeah. There are jobs upon jobs available out there in my specific field.
Well, let's just say medical sales in general.
If somebody wants to be in medical sales specifically, and they're right out of high school, then they need to get a degree, because that's the only way in without the experience in the field.
Yeah. Without taking 15 years to work through.
5.
Okay.
It starts at 5. Usually it's 5 to 10 years of a related experience. And you know what? I really think that we are all our own salesmen. If I had come in with 4 years of experience and I applied for a job and they talked to me and I talked to the recruiter and I sounded like a good candidate, then I don't think that those things are the roadblocks that they
Agreed.
Probably seem to be. I don't think that if I'm an 18-year-old graduate, then working in Burger King or working in a doctor's office are the same thing.
Yeah.
Getting the job in the doctor's office is probably a relatively easy thing to do.
Yeah.
and will serve you longer than getting high behind Burger King in between shifts.
Agreed.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if people do that anymore.
We all did. I don't even work at Burger King. And so if they do go get a degree, is that generally in biosciences, or
it can be in whatever you want.
Gotcha.
It just has to be a
just
degree.
tick the box.
You know, and somebody smarter than I am told me that a college degree is only to prove that you can stick to something for a while.
Yeah.
You know, people don't care what it's in. It just says, you know, I stuck with it for 4 years and I got this piece of paper.
Yeah. And then utilize the connections you made there. And that's really it.
Yeah.
Trevi, this has really been insightful. And dude, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. No,
yeah.
I'm honored.
Yeah. Thanks, Trevi.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Trevi as much as I did. What really stood out in this conversation is that there's more than one path to a great career. Trevi showed how experience, certifications, and hard work can open doors just as much as college can. You don't need a traditional degree to build a meaningful career. I learned that career growth is often about stacking experiences. Trevi kept learning, certifying, and expanding his skills until the right opportunity came. Very similar to my prior guest, Tommy, who did the same thing to become an aerospace engineer. Trevi also reminded us how important communication, adaptability, and staying curious are in any field. I really love the advice he had at the end there. The world is changing and skilled trades and service jobs are more essential than ever. A college degree isn't the only path to stability anymore. Why not start with an entry-level job in a field you're interested in? If you enjoy this podcast, give us a like and follow. You can also check out our website at hcbpod.com to see a database of jobs we've interviewed for already. We mapped out each career with key responsibilities, education and requirements, pros and cons, advice for the roles, and paths to get there, as well as some useful recruiting links. And if you feel like you have an interesting career and want to tell your own story in our podcast, just go to hcbpod.com and submit the form. Thanks again, and see you next week.